guys, welcome back to another week of Art Life. It is March, spring is basically here. We've got loads of new beautiful stretched canvases in the studio and I'm so excited to get stuck in to this new body of work, all capturing the kind of spring colours, lots of light gestural painting, and I just want to share with you as I'm painting this huge beautiful canvas which I'm going to start right now. So yeah, there's not much more to say other than I hope you enjoy watching me get lost into the world of paint, and I'll try and explain my thought processes as I go along. Normally I would prime with non-absorbent acrylic primer from Michael Harding a surface like this, but I might just do a few gestures in like raw umber. There's something about just all of this white canvas which I find slightly unnerving, but you may be using like a kind of really earthy brown for the skyscape will just ground it for me so I can just get my thoughts straight, because when I've got a sort of canvas this size, really I just want to dive into this world and get lost in it and create havoc. So doing a kind of bowl ground, structural lines will help me just get started, because it can be very intimidating when you're starting something new. Obviously as well, the horizon line is the first thing we seek out in gravity and landscape. So I want to draw in my horizon line where I want the viewer to stand as they're getting lost into the tempest of this painting. So I'm thinking doing quite a low horizon line. So it's mainly about the volume of sky. Can change it down the line, but most of the work I've been doing recently has had no horizon line, just a kind of atmosphere sort of study of light. Which is amazing, but I kind of feel like putting some land in, putting some earth colours in for this one. Sorry. Smooth. So everything I'm going to do, I will have to block out, and so everything, all the white will be covered. But while I'm like playing in these initial stages, they are my absolute favourite moments, because I can make 5 or 6 paintings and keep changing it and evolving it and exploring what I like and what I don't like. Like I've done a little kind of island and I can get rid of it and put it down at the bottom. It's just playtime when you're starting something like this. But the key is to not get too attached to the marks you make, because that's what usually kills most of my paintings, if I overwork it, because I love something so much that I like don't want to touch it. So I'm like, it's finished, and it's just a few marks. So not getting too attached to this, just having fun. So we're still at the blocking in stage, just getting a rag, big kind of fan brush, and then lots of umber and linseed oil, and just covering the white. Really gestural. I'm just basically playing with this idea of a really, do you know what? I don't even know. I'm trying to like explain it as I go along. It's quite hard to do that creatively. I think retrospectively might be better. But for now I'm just enjoying getting lost in this idea of a tempest. There's some kind of island maybe forming, water, who knows, we'll play. It'll change 100 different times between now and when it's finished. So at this stage, it's really just about just creative expression, and also the different gestures you get compared to kind of like a sharp brush stroke, quite dry, getting a rag and just like blending it in. You cover so much more canvas, and it's just really satisfying. So I think leave it at this stage. I think I've covered a lot of kind of figurative ground. I can always loosen it up, but it's just such a good idea at this stage when you're starting a really big project to just make some gestures, begin the journey, and then you can always go back to it in the morning, nice and fresh, and see if you like it or hate it. I've still got quite a lot of umber. I might just quickly use up some of that paint on one of my other works that I'm working on. So this might completely change tomorrow, but right now I quite like the idea of reflecting in some kind of low tide, the kind of sky above and the sky below with some strange island in the middle, referencing another project I'm working on at the moment. Can get rid of it, doesn't really matter. But I quite like the idea of like above and below blending together with a very misty horizon. We are going into sort of spring, so we've had a lot of misty light in the mornings. We're getting more light now, so it kind of just makes me want to paint with brighter colours, just more expressive, brighter marks. So an update on this now. I've finished the first layer, which is the umber bold ground, where I really highlight the kind of light areas of cloud and where I want lots of water for the landscape. The horizon line, remember, the further away something is from you, the more kind of faint and distant it is. I think there's a lot of movement that I can play with now. It's really time to start adding colour, because if I overwork this stage, I won't be as playful and imaginative and spontaneous as I start building up the kind of further layers. But I'm loving the scale. It's so fun to be able to be completely immersed in this landscape. Let me show you my colour experiments for the next layer. This is normally how I'd work to kind of figure out exactly where I want to take the kind of temperature of the landscape. So we started with this one over here. So this is the final colour experiment I did for this kind of early spring skyscape. Again, very gestural, very loose colour. There's no definition here with exact kind of cloud formation and land formation, but I really love the soft peaches, lots of kind of grey blues. It feels very kind of gentle. It doesn't feel like a very striking, heavy, aggressive sky. It feels very kind of evocative of the kind of landscapes and skies we have at the moment in March here outside my studio. So I did this big one, which I actually have got an amazing frame for, and I'm really kind of pleased with this one. And I also did some smaller, let me show you some smaller studies, just to help me figure out exactly how I'll superimpose these colours onto my big landscape. these are the drawing studies. They're not quite finished yet, but again, you can see the same palette, but I started to think that maybe a big emphasis on light on one side of the composition with maybe a darker, greyer, more pond watery cloud kind of coming in from one side, so you get a sense of kind of the temporal kind of way clouds move and kind of just make their journey across the light horizon. I can't wait to take off the masking tape. It's my favourite bit. Not quite ready yet, so I shouldn't do that. So this probably is the top one I'm going to refer to. I did one more experiment using my Procreate, which I'll show you now, and then you can just see the different ways I piece together like a puzzle, the kind of colour compositions, so I get everything I need when I'm working on this kind of scale, because when you're working huge like this, the best thing you can do is have as much sort of research sketches, ideas in place as possible, so you don't end up kind of getting a bit lost in the scale. So how I normally bring in technology slightly just to help me figure out when I get to a problem with the painting, I'll take a photograph of the work as is, and then what I'll do is I'll basically work the colour palette that I'm interested in, again using all of those greys, the sort of smokiness that I like, and then I'll add it so I can kind of see the next stage. I mean, it's not exactly cheating, it's basically like digital sketching, but it just helped me realise where I want this dark area to blend in with this cloud. It also showed me that maybe that this line was a little bit too horizontal harsh, a little bit too severe, and that I could probably soften that up around this area. I might not refer to this again, but when I was just, you know, thinking about it late at night when I wasn't in the studio, it just helped me progress kind of what I wanted to do when I could next do a painting session. So, something really exciting I'd love to share with you is that Michael Harding, who I am an ambassador for, and literally my favourite paints are the only oil paints I use, have sent me their Masters Landscape oil kit, which I've never had before. I've used these colours separately, but I've never had them all as one kit, because they offer two different landscape kits, and the Old Masters set, which is, I always lean towards the Old Masters just because of my training classically, but also my appreciation for history of the kind of origin of painting and how I love the kind of earthier colours. So basically these kits are sensational. We've got titanium white, cadmium yellow deep, permanent orange, cadmium red, Alizarin crimson, ultramarine blue, cobalt green deep, which I don't think I've used for years, so it's going to be really interesting using this one, permanent sap green, and my favourite, raw umber. So basically, from this kit, the idea is that you can create any landscape, like plein air, particularly plein air painters. Something like this would be invaluable, because you can, essentially anything you need you can find within these range of colours. And this isn't like a promotion or anything, I'm just sharing this because I'm kind of in love with it and I'm really excited to just share it with you. You can see I've been playing a little bit with some of the colours on my palette, and you can just see, I really do need to clean this, sorry, but you can just see some of the smoky greys we're going to be able to get from the ultramarine and the permanent orange. It's going to be just delicious. So I'm so excited to get started with these and share with you how it all comes about. Linseed oil and my soft greys, smoky pinks and kind of light blues, already I've softened that really harsh horizon line, which I think is a really satisfying place to leave the painting tonight, ready for tomorrow morning. I think that's probably all we have time for this week's episode of Art Life. I hope you've enjoyed just kind of seeing something like this on this scale come together, and I'm really enjoying sharing the process with you, and as it kind of comes along I'll bring you along for the ride. I think, yeah, tomorrow I'll start to do the kind of bottom layer, but for now it just feels really soft. There's loads of atmosphere. It feels like it's true to the colour palette tests I was doing with all my drawings, and I'm excited to see where it goes next. So I hope you join me for that. If you haven't already, please follow me on @JessOliverArt on Instagram. Like and subscribe Art Life if you haven't already. Any comments below, we love to hear your comments, and until then you can catch us on our shorts and on Instagram, as I mentioned. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great week, and yeah, I will see you soon, guys. Bye.